Hi everybody, Happy New Year, a little bit late. Welcome back. I've been on a little bit of a hiatus because unfortunately we lost my dad a couple weeks ago. So it's been a little bit hard for me to get back into making videos, but here we are. And I discovered during the grieving process is actually a great opportunity for presence, which is essentially what I teach. So I am feeling now better. Obviously, I'm here, and I wanted to talk to you about the illusion of time on this journey. When I say this journey, there really is no journey. That's an illusion of itself. That's an illusion that the mind creates for continuity, for safety. But actually, a journey can be over. I can't snap because I literally just did my nails, but it can be over like that, like that. It can be done. As soon as you see the illusion is over. It's like waking up from a dream. The dream's done. You might remember it, but you're awake now. So the journey of ascension, and the specific one that I obviously teach and coach and speak to is the one that is started by having the twin flame experience. But that's exactly like the alarm that wakes you up. You don't have to keep the alarm going. You just turn it off. And that part is done, and now you're awake. That is what the twin flame experience is. So the twin flame experience is simply having what they call soul recognition. That's what my teacher called it. And what that is something that's unconscious. You don't know the moment that happens, but you have soul recognition with another human, another form. You have approximately 6 weeks to 90 days of something called a bubble love phase, which is what appears to be a romance, a very brief but highly intense romance that is conflated with your actual awakening. So you are awakening during this time frame, but you also are having what appears to be a romantic experience with someone else of varying degrees according to the person and varying time frames, but it's approximately 6 weeks to 90 days. And then that physical form of that person, what they call the twin flame, goes away. Okay. And then we go through what's called Dark Night of the Soul, which is a complete breakdown of identity. I'm just going to move a little bit because for some reason this camera is like shaking. Okay. So that can last perpetually. It doesn't have to, but it can last a month, 2 months, 6 months, a year. Generally, it doesn't last more than 6 months, and that's like on the outside. But generally, the dark night of the soul is where you're having often physical pain in the core, but the hallmark of it is obsessive thoughts about the twin flame, the physical person. So that's how you know you've been through a twin flame experience. But that's all it has to be. After you go through that, it's your complete choice to stay in the experience or on the twin flame journey. And my recommendation to you is to drop the twin flame part and just realize that you have ascended. You experienced an awakening. The alarm went off. You don't have to keep pressing snooze so that it goes off over and over and over again. You can just turn it off and get up. And that's what what my work is about. But honestly, the same awakening experience happens for people who are catalyzed not by a twin flame, but by an illness, for example, like having terminal illness, cancer, going through the experience of cancer treatment often has this happen to people because it's not just the impending death of the human form, but it's also the loss of identity, ego identity, when the hair falls out and the body starts to diminish as a result of the disease. It's the same catalyst to awakening to consciousness, what we really are, the presence, awakening to the fact that we have been identified with our mind through the conditioning of our culture. It's just the way it is. And realizing and being like, oh, I was unconscious that I was doing this all this time, and now I'm conscious. That's the only part that matters. This can also happen through the loss of a loved one, someone who is a very strong part of the identity. So losing a child, the parent identity is diminished, and the loss of the form, losing, having an ego identity crisis, just a general like breakdown. There's many ways that this starts, but it's all the same. Ascension is all the same, and ascension is kind of a misnomer because you're not going anywhere. You're just realizing, oh, this is what I always was, what I am. I've been distracted by this illusion that the mind has created. So part of the illusion of the mind is time. And generally, I refer to time and space as the same thing because the time-space continuum is what is the same. It's the fourth dimension. It's just, they're both illusionary. They are byproducts of living in the physical world, in the 3D. Because in order to get from here to over there, it takes time for me to traverse that space, right? So time and space are illusionary. Ultimately, consciousness is above, it's like a higher perspective. It's not like, it is a higher perspective than time and space. That's why we sometimes refer to it as fifth dimension, because everything is happening here and now in the present when conscious, and that is what the fifth dimension is. It's here and now. So with all that said, I had to set that up for you, but when you are having an experience of a limitation of time, that is a great indicator that you're locked into mind identification at the moment. So, for example, if you think it will take time to do something, take time to experience something. Or if you think that it will take time, especially to end the twin flame journey, this is the thing I get from clients a lot. They think it will take time. And yes, it does take a certain amount of time to implement practices. For example, if you start a meditation practice today, you are likely not going to be able to experience pure presence, awareness, consciousness 24/7 in a week. And that's just because of the way the body is. We're having a human experience, so we're having a 3D experience, which means we are abiding by the laws and the rules of certain time frames, right? So it takes a seed time to grow into a plant. And humans themselves, we have an expiration date for the body and the mind of approximately 100 years or less. But the illusion is that we are not already that thing that we think we will need to take time to become. So the moment we realize, oh, I am already this thing, this experience, the time has collapsed. You've transcended time. I hope this is making sense. And this is actually how law of attraction becomes extremely easy to manipulate once you realize that you are already the thing which you desire to manifest. Desire itself is an illusion. Desire is of the mind. So really, when we practice intentional manifestation, you're just using the mind. The mind includes thoughts and emotions, and you're just using that. It's like a play. It's like taking Play-Doh and creating something out of it. That's all you're doing. It's just part of the human experience, but as a consciousness, you are already all of the things you could possibly desire to manifest. So that in itself is a complete illusion. And the people that I'm working with, generally, what they're straddling is the fact that the mind is perpetually attempting to focus on the physical form of the twin flame. And so they recognize this. And now what we must do after we have had the twin flame experience is transcend the mind into consciousness, because that is alignment with the twin flame, that is union. So the physical human that catalyzed this experience is irrelevant. But that's the thing that the mind attempts to bring us back into the illusion with. Once this is realized, that it's just presence, it's just consciousness, that is union, then everything is over on the twin flame journey. It's over. It's over. That is neutralizing any charge between yourself and the physical twin flame. That is neutrality. It's that you are the twin flame. There is no such thing as twin flames. It's nothing. It's an illusion. It's the ultimate illusion. I like to refer to it as the ultimate illusion to people who are going through this, because it seems so real in the mind. It's now become the thing that the mind will go to constantly for everything, for any stressor, because there's a twin flame experience and then there's everything else in your life. And often something that people who have had this experience do to their own detriment, unknowingly, unconsciously, do is they will conflate everything with the twin flame journey. And what I mean is they'll get confused and then we'll join them together. So if you're having stress at your job, you're having an experience with a coworker or a boss that's a challenge, or you're having financial problems or problems, I'm saying problems just, in the human sense, like things that you don't prefer happening. What happens in the mind is that you'll say something like, this must be happening to me for a reason. So the reason is because it will get me closer to union with my twin flame, or it's teaching me a lesson I need to learn. So if you hear yourself saying that about any situation, I'm learning a lesson, that's an illusion. That's a red flag that you are not present. There's consciousness is not where you're at. So that's important, right? It's a good information. That's it. It's good information to be like, oh, I'm doing the lesson thing. Or, oh, I'm acting like this is going to help me on my twin flame journey. It's not. There's only one thing that will help you on your twin flame journey, and it's presence. It's consciousness. That is union. That ends the twin flame journey. It's over after that. You can move on with your life. And what that feels like is not a care or concern what the physical form of the twin flame is doing or saying. It's good anyway. It's all good. So this is the thing that people have a little bit of trouble sometimes understanding, because the mind can't go there. So I'll see things like people will not want to talk about the steps we take in our human to stay present. So like meditation every day, or keeping track of obsessive thoughts. That's something I do that I'll get pushback because there's this idea that if we call out and write down every thought about the twin flame, it's going to perpetuate the thoughts, but it doesn't. when you actually do it, you realize that the mind gets so annoyed by having to record and be called out on every thought, when it happened, the emotions that happened, the exact thought. Like, the mind gets embarrassed, it gets exposed. So it will stop those thoughts in their track. It will start to have those thoughts disintegrate immediately, so that by the time you're in a place where you can write them down, like if you're driving or if you're working, you can't like record it right away. It will happen so fleetingly that you won't even remember it. It won't be a conscious thing, and pretty soon those will be gone as well. So everything is a bit of a paradox when it comes to the mind versus consciousness. But I'll get pushback from people when they'll be like, I don't want to do that. I'm in such a good place. But that's actually resistance, because if you didn't care either way, then it wouldn't matter if you called out the thoughts of the twin flame, because you wouldn't be judging yourself for having them. Do you see? Like, neutrality is neutrality. It's like, either way, whether they're next to me or I never see them again, it's all good. It has no bearing on the emotions. So if you have emotional resistance, you can feel it in the body when you start to say stuff like that, like, I have no preference. You know, and it's not an ill will. It's like, I wish them well. Either way, like, whether they're right here or halfway across the world, it's all good. It's all good. That's neutrality. And the irony of neutrality is that when you're actually neutral, there are really no thoughts, unless, you know, there's like process thoughts. Like, if you're going to meet them for lunch, it's like, I have to go here at this time. You know what I'm saying? It's like, in the moment, I have to go here, or whatever. Like, I need to confirm this time, or, you know, it's stuff like that. But it's not the emotional aspect. It's gone. The emotions have been neutralized when it comes to that particular form. You don't have to neutralize with anybody else or anything else. It doesn't help you, really. It's good practice to keep your energy in, which is another technique that I teach people. But you don't have to neutralize with anyone or anything else. No other form, in order to end the twin flame journey. Okay? So, and if you think it's going to take time, you're in the illusion. Okay? If you think it's going to take space to traverse, like you have to go certain places, because you're, you know, some people are really literally halfway across the world from their twin flame, and that is something that the mind jumps upon to say, well, it's never going to happen for you. That's an illusion. Some people are in the same town as their twin flame. I've had clients who are across the street from their twin flame and not neutralized. So the space doesn't matter. It can help you to get away if you need to, so you're not constantly having that emotional trigger. And it doesn't help you to resist going back if you're halfway across the world, because that's also an emotional block. So the best thing to do is to just realize, be aware. Oh, I'm thinking about time. Oh, I'm thinking about space. And it's over. As soon as you realize it's over, you're present, you're conscious. Yeah, so that's all I wanted to say. And I hope you guys are well and you're having a good new year. And yeah, I love you. Thank you so much for subscribing and watching. And please give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Okay, bye.